Hey, this is Matt once again. What about to end the video? This is another paid request, this time for Jack Thompson. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, randomness, commentaries, pretty much anything in between, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. So now we have the Marksman from 2005. You know, let me talk about Wesley Snipes for a little bit. I think Wesley Snipes is a very talented actor. I do. I think he do drama, he could do action, he can do comedy. He could play a villain, serious like New Jack City, and he could play it very fun, over the top like Demolition Man. Action films, he could do Blade, Blade 2, Passenger 57, which it grew on me throughout the years. He can do thrillers. I think Murdered 1600 is an underrated one. He could do comedy. He was a supporting role in Major League. He was a star of films like White Man Can't Jump. He'd do a good job with that stuff. Now, I looked through his films, and these are some of them, not all of them, but I like White Man Can't Jump. Very funny movie. I think he works well with Woody Harrelson. You tell Aunt B, my pies are ready. Blade and Blade 2, great. Screw this third one. Blade and Blade 2 are awesome. Murdered 1600, underrated thriller. Doesn't get, I like this more than Absolute Power with Clint Eastwood. Directed by Dre H. Little, who did Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee, Marked for Death by Steven Seagal. That film, Halloween 4, pretty decent film, Murder 1600. Even, again, Passenger 57, which did grow on me throughout the years. And he was being very successful. Some of those films I mentioned were hits. At least Blade, Blade 2, Passenger 57, White Man Can't Jump. He was doing Spike Lee movies, like New Jack City. Was a Spike Lee movie, but that was another movie he did that was fairly good. Even this film, I think, made money. I'm not a fan of this film, but I think this film made a little bit of money. I mean, this film I find to be disappointing, though. But I would say this is better than what I'm going to talk about. But, sadly, some of his films were flopping, like this one. Now, I think this film's a bit underrated. I don't think this film's as bad as people make it out to be. I think this film's pretty decent. But, it didn't do well. And other than, I think this was 97. And this didn't do well either. Yeah, Murdered 1600 was 97. This flopped. And I'm like, well, I think it's a pretty decent film. And other than Blade, and Blade 2, Blade was, 98? And then Blade 2 was a few years after. He didn't really have any films out that was a hit. I mean, The Art of War 1, I didn't mind it for what it was, but it didn't light the world on fire. But I didn't mind it for what it was. It must have done enough on home video to get sequels, direct-to-video sequels. But that was when, after Art of War, especially after Blade Trinity was a disappointment, to say the least, his films started going more direct-to-video. That's where you started getting films like Unstoppable, pretty lame affair. Nothing unstoppable about that movie. That's where you get direct-to-video sequels. Art of War 2. Now, there's an Art of War 3, but Wesley Snipes isn't in it, but Wesley is in this. And again, I guess on home video the Art of War 1 made money. Yeah, I don't mind that one, but this one, And then you had films like The Contractor. There's him with his sunglasses. The Detonator. him in his sunglasses. 7 Seconds, him in his sunglasses. And he definitely tries to look like Blade in that one. I mean, no one gives a crap about these films. The Contractor, who gives a crap? Detonator, who gives a crap? 7 Seconds, that's how long you'll remember the movie. Even after this, Game of Death, a lame, boring film with a terrible fight between Wesley Snipes and Gary Daniels, which you would think would be good, but horribly edited, just lame. Bruce Lee's Game of Death is better than this, and that's saying a lot with how screwed up that movie is. And now we have The Marksman, which I'm sure by now I've already had a poster here that's been covering part of my face, but The Marksman. This is a very blasé, lame, forgettable action picture. There is not much to say about this film. So of course to me that means the review's probably going to be like 30 minutes. This is such a run-of-the-mill, forgettable, in one ear, out the other, and those want to see the back. I'm just doing this so that people see it. The fate of two nations rests in his hands. Let's read the back of it just because. Now that the sticker's blocking it. Wesley Snipes is armed and extremely dangerous in The Marksman, an explosive action-adventure thriller where nothing is what it seems. With Russia on the brink of nuclear annihilation, there's only one man who can save it, the Marksman. He's not called the Marksman, he's called the Painter, because he paints the target. But I guess if this was called the Painter, it wouldn't be cool enough to market. An elite U.S. Special Forces operative, he's been ordered to take out a Chechen nuclear power plant before terrorists set off a live reactor. Infiltrating the heavily guarded facility, the Marksman indicates the target for an American missile strike and makes his escape. But when he discovers it's the missiles and not the terrorists that will ignite the device, the Marksman realizes he's been set up, and so begins a race against time as he attempts to disarm a target whose detonation will trigger the death of thousands and topple two world powers. Well, yeah, I mean, that pretty much tells the story. Then Wesley Snipes goes with his team. They're supposed to take this out, but they realize, no, the Americans will blow it up. It's going to create this nuclear fallout, and the terrorists are trying to trick people. There's higher echelon of powers that want to screw over both countries. And Wesley Snipes, again, he's not the Marksman, he's the Painter. There's not one time in the movie they call him the Marksman. Now, the movie has one of those tone. It's very gray looking. It's very gray filter. The only other people I recognize in this film is William Hope Gorman from this movie, Aliens. Gorman is in this. He's not a bad guy. He doesn't become a bad guy. He's just a guy in meetings, giving out orders while you know what's going on. Matt Salinger, Captain America from the 1990 movie, he's in this in a small bit as a general. Andrew Stevens, which I don't know if they did something with his voice or they dubbed his voice or something. Andrew Stevens, he was in the Terror Within 2. He helped produce the film. It even says Andrew Stevens and Andrew Stevens Entertainment. And Andrew Stevens Entertainment, okay. Not Andrew Stevens Company, Andrew Stevens Entertainment. And Andrew Stevens, whatever. Who cares? He's in a big role. That's the only people I recognize. The bad guys are in one ear, out the other, run-of-the-mill, Chechen, must be Russian, or any other thing. And it's a very cheap affair. I'm surprised this wasn't directed by Fred Olen Ray. Let's steal footage from Iron Eagle, Navy SEALs, Top Gun, and put that in there. Like this one bit where William Hope, he's talking to a group of people, and he's like, oh, this picture that was taken. And they looked at the picture. All the picture is a bad guy firing a gun, which is from the previous scene we just saw of the bad guy firing the gun on someone. So they took that, they put that as the picture, and then they photoshopped an Asian guy right next to him. You can easily tell it's Photoshop. They go, this is a picture we took with these two near each other. So the bad guy has his gun over here, and then you have an Asian guy photoshopped over here looking like... Like, they couldn't find a way to take the actual picture of this guy and an Asian guy together in the same room. Like, my God, how cheap is that? There's General Captain America, Matt Salinger. He has like 3 lines of dialogue. The supporting roles, like the team that Wesley Snipes goes in with, I can't tell you a damn thing about them. When they're on the plane, Wesley Snipes has flashbacks, but the flashbacks are footage from Iron Eagle. The ending where Doug blows up the facilities, like the bad guys, the towers and stuff, those are Wesley Snipes flashbacks. I'm like, is he having flashbacks, or is he remembering the movie Iron Eagle? I just saw this movie today. I'm remembering it. Okay, by the way, can we get Iron Eagle on Blu-ray, for fuck's sake? So, yeah, the flashbacks is just all from Iron Eagle. Then when they go out of the plane, it's scenes from Navy SEALs. The Charlie Sheen film. When they go on the airplane. Oh, it's Navy SEALs. They just stole the footage. Well, they bought it. They buy stock footage. And that's the thing, when you're making an action film, what's the point if a lot of your action is just stock footage from other movies, and it's like, why don't I just go watch those movies? Why don't I just go watch Iron Eagle, or Navy SEALs, or Top Gun? Because when the plane is in some dogfights and the plane's going to the area, it's scenes from Top Gun. They just change the filter to make it look more gray. So it fits their film. The rest of it, Wesley and the team goes in. He paints the target where, okay, this is where the missile is going to go. They go back. Wesley realizes, wait a minute, this was too easy. Someone tries to kill the team on the chopper. They escape. The chopper explodes. The team is caught. Wesley goes in. Some tunnels. You have a little bit of action, enough for the trailer. Like, the little bit of action is like Wesley Snipes. He slides down something head first. A tank. Okay, he slides down the thing, right? And imagine he slides down the thing and he gets to the bottom. Now, the top of this, Wesley Snipes is here. Now, behind him is this wall of the slide. And then over here is a tank. And up here are bad guys. But somehow the tank is firing at Wesley Snipes, but somehow hits the guys up here. The tank aims to fire Wesley Snipes, and Wesley Snipes like hides in this crack underneath. But somehow the missile gets stopped, went up, and then went over here. Or the guy had a horrible aim. I'm going to shoot at this guy, but I'm going to aim over here. Or there's a bit where, like, the one decent bit is Wesley had a grenade. He's like in a tunnel underneath, and there's a Jeep goes over the grenade, blows up, and the Jeep goes forward and an explosion while Wesley's character's in like a tunnel underneath. That was a decent shot. But that's all this film has. He sneaks around, shoots a couple. There's some squibs. Low explosive to simulate gunshots. But then it's a lot of just going back, and that's the thing with a lot of these types of films, whether it be Steven Seagal's direct-to-video films or these type of films, where it's a lot of films of people in rooms just talking about, we must do this for our country. Yes, we will do this for our country. Well, what about the losses? Those are acceptable. Those are acceptable losses. Just explaining stuff we already know, or explaining stuff that's going to happen, or explaining stuff that might happen, because that's cheaper. When you just a bunch of people just talking. In fact, I think one of the dialogue scenes was taken from another film. I remember reading up, because I didn't see the other film, there's a film called Active Stealth, and one of the dialogue scenes was just ripped and taken and put into this movie. I don't know which one, because I didn't see that movie. There's a bit where there's this like bazooka cannon thing that Wesley uses to shoot at some bad guys. He rescues his team for like a brief 30 seconds. Oh, come on, they don't believe Wesley, but then soon they do. And pretty much just going around in this empty plant, or outside this plant, shooting. There's really nothing to it. It's fairly boring. It's fairly routine. And believe it or not, it's still better than a film like this, or this, or I would still say it's better than these three. Because there's still at least more Wesley just shooting, as routine as it is, than this stuff, which has even, it felt like it had even less action than this film. That's saying a lot. That said, out of these, the best one probably is the Marksman. That's not saying much. Just, hey, William Hope, I remember him. Like, who's in these other films? Just curiosity. If I can read it with how dark it is in here. Oh, who cares? Well, actually, William Hope is in this film, too, The Detonator. So, he was in another Wesley Snipes film. I'm not sure if he's the good guy in that one. Damn it, I forgot William Hope was in another one. Go figure. It's a nothing fight. Of course, he stops the thing so the missiles will actually swerve and hits a building that the bad guy is in. The only physical fight scene Wesley has is a poorly shot scene where it's far away, they're going to fight, and then it's the bad guy doing this. And then Wesley doing this, blocking like this. And the bad guy doing this to the camera. And Wesley doing this to the camera. And that's like 30 seconds, 40. And then Wesley just shoots the guy anyway. So, you don't get much of Wesley fighting. There's nothing to his character. The semblance of his character is something happened bad back in the day. That some people got killed, so there's some of the men who don't trust him. And Wesley had asked, do I choose the hostages or do I choose the missile? And then it doesn't matter because there's no hostages to choose anyway. So that didn't even come into play later. Again, this is like one of those just forgettable, routine action films that, like these other movies, you'll forget in 7 seconds. Is these jump direct... See, that's the thing. Van Damme actually made some unique... Like, these films I can't tell apart. That's what it gets to. A lot of Steven Seagal films that went direct-to-video, a lot of these Wesley Snipes films that went direct-to-video, I can't tell them apart. At least with Van Damme, I can tell them apart. Because when Van Damme... Okay, I'm going to do a direct-to-video film, but the order is going to be kind of like a low-budget Indiana Jones film. Oh, In Hell, there's going to be a drama in a prison. This is actually pretty good, directed by Ringo Lam. May he rest in peace. Okay, I'm going to play a serial killer, but I'm also playing a clone that's made to chase the serial killer down. Okay, sci-fi, interesting. Okay, I'm going to play, I'm trying to think, like Weight of Death. Kind of my vigilante, death wish revenge movie. Revenge film. Okay, I got a Weight of Death is a pretty good one. That's a revenge movie, a good prison drama with some heartfelt stuff, and Until Death. I'm gonna play a cop who's addicted to drugs, but then I get shot, and then when I regain, I want to be a better person. That's Until Death. There's variety in a lot of the Van Damme direct-to-video stuff that made them not feel like I'm watching the same movie over and over again. Sadly, they went until later, like Pound of Flesh, and those lame ones. What was it? What was that one where he had to be a bodyguard to the rapper? I forgot what the hell it was called. It's so good, I forgot it. But there's a lot of pretty decent ones. And that's the difference between like Van Damme's direct-to-video, which was some pretty decent stuff. Not all, but pretty decent. And then Wesley Snipes, that I can't name one direct-to-video Wesley Snipes film that was worth a crap. Not one. Because it wasn't Game of Death. It wasn't these. Gallows Walkers, no. Granted, that was different from these, but it was just, that was like a wannabe lame version of Blade. So, like Wesley Snipes, I don't know what the last good film he was in. Was it Expendables 3? And what he did, he's done this stuff like he's a guy in the middle of nowhere and there's an alien and he's barely in the film. And Brooklyn's Finest, a lot of people like that one. That did nothing for me. I hate to say it, that did nothing for me. But that wasn't Wesley Snipes' fault. He wasn't the problem with the film. It just, I don't know, the story didn't do anything for me. That's better than this, to be fair. But yeah, as people have their radios up louder. The Marksman doesn't hit the mark. I know it's a lame thing to say. Just a lame movie. Just a film that doesn't do much of anything. That's my opinion. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And just, stick with films like Blade or Blade 2. Or, check this film out. This is a pretty decent film. Or you know what? For a film that gets so much hate, go check this film out. This one's pretty decent. Watch this instead, The Marksman. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.